All right. Hey, guys. I missed you.
No, you didn't. Stop lying.
I did not. But I don't think you missed me either. So it's a wash.
We'll see what the comments say.
John's going to come in swinging on this one. I already know.
No. I mean, this was a hard
game.
game.
In a bad way.
We're talking about it on the thread, right? This was a hard game to figure because, it almost got away from them. It was really uninspired second half, and then they flipped a switch late. Tatum, bucket, and that was it. Great defensive possession there on the Wizards' last possession, trapping Beal. They had nothing to do and nowhere to go. That was terrific. So the late game execution was outstanding. And again, we talk about this how often, every single late game situation we come into, what's our argument? Settling for the shot. What did Tatum do this time? Boom, drove it.
That's the rim.
Yeah. You know what, John? I'll do you one better. Well, how about a couple of minutes before that, right? It's a tight game. He's got the ball in his hands. Everyone's expecting him to do his thing. And what does he do? He throws he hits the weak side, right? Yeah. Finds Semi Ojeleye in the corner, but not for him to hit the three. Well, I guess it was for his own discretion. It was up to Semi. But Semi to, the hockey assist to Semi to Tice down low, boom, to the free throw line. Yep. And then Washington tries to force the Celtics to do what they think that they don't want to do, right? Which is, of course, have Daniel Tice take open jump shots. And what happens? He hits 4 in a row. That's incredible for this team. But talk about for this team's motivation, for the way they've surrendered games in the fourth quarter so many times, especially.
And they were so close to.
They almost did it. But man, talk about someone like Daniel Tice. That goes a long way. That performance goes a long way, and it certainly resonates with the rest of the team.
Josue, wasn't it reminiscent of another Celtics big man 4 years ago being left wide open on every play against this team? Same coach. Yeah. And they just let him get going. Now, that happened earlier in the game, but they literally left Tice wide open underneath on that first layup, and then he got 3 jumpers to go in short order. It was just, it was that's just
money for him right there.
Brad's been preaching that all season. Those cross the court pass, hitting the weak side, how that opens up opportunities for the team.
Yeah, I love you pointing out Shemi's play late because we'll get into Tatum, but the first shot by Semi gave Boston a chance, and then that weak side play you talked about, the handoff, the nice pass on the roll, that's what initiated this comeback. And Jayson Tatum can do all that, but can Javonte Green and Semi Ojeleye in those spots score in the clutch? They needed to tonight with that lineup that they had out there. I wasn't sure if that was going to work, and it did in a big way. I mean, this is probably the best closing effort we've seen from this team all year in a close game.
It was just look at it. If you go at 103.96, 103.96, they're down 7-3 with 3 to go there. You had that, where with the Daniel Tice turned into that Daniel Tice foul there. Then you have. Actually, I'm going to pick it up 106.98 after the Westbrook 3. I thought that's the dagger.
Yeah, that's the dagger. Yep.
After that, to talk about demoralizing a team, that's just trying to stay in it. Yeah,
you're like, give him that all day. That's exactly what you're game planning for. You want him to take that. I thought that was the dagger, and then from there, Javonte makes a really tough drive. Semi makes that to cut it to 6. Semi makes that 3. It was basically. Westbrook then turns it over. Tatum steals it. Ojeleye makes the 3. Then it goes Tatum trades buckets with Lopez. Then Beal, Tatum again. And that was it. Boom, 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 boom. All down the stretch. Amazing.
What was that? What was that first one though? That was the tough one, right? The tough 3-pointer that he made.
Yeah.
The contested 3. Man, that's a superstar play. The end of the game, driving to the hoop when your team needs a basket the most, with authority. That's a superstar play. The dunk, posterizing someone the way he did early in the fourth quarter. When your team continues to struggle at the beginning of the fourth quarter, we saw that again tonight. Superstar play, man. I can't say enough about what I saw from Tatum tonight, but not just from what we see for him scoring wise, but again, opening up opportunities for others. And of course, that led to easy buckets for him.
And again, this was trending, and for everybody who knows, Bobby there wearing a mask, holding the microphone. He's at the Garden, checking out this game. We got a lot of home games, so we will have guys at the games throughout. Fans are coming back soon, and that's going to be kind of interesting here because that experience is going to change a little bit, which is great. So we're looking forward to more. And lo and behold, who saw this coming?
Oh, man.
Moscato could not.
What a surprise.
Kid, I'm putting you back in your perch. Top right. There you go.
Gritted it out, had a coffee.
Wait,
he did what he needed to do.
Game winners will bring Jimmy back. I like it.
Jimmy, all it took was a coffee. Come on.
With about 3 minutes left, there was no chance I was coming on the show. But the way it ended, I couldn't not stay away. I had to just pop on at least. And this is the type of win that Celtics fans have been clamoring for since 2020. So this isn't a game that I could do.
You know what that means, guys.
It's been a long wait.
That means before the 3-minute mark, Jimmy was throwing stuff at his TV. That's what that means.
This was close. This was close to being the kill Tatum game, right? Because he came out and scored, early, and it was like, okay, good. You need this with Jalen out, right? And then he just disappeared. While Beal goes off, all of a sudden Beal's at 44 points and Tatum's stuck at 23, and he hadn't moved, and he hadn't done anything in a while, and the shooting percentage was going down, and I was like, okay, this was Tatum's 8 of 18 with 23 points, and Beal's doubled him up right now, and they're heading towards a loss. This was another embarrassing performance in front of his boy until he turned it around there.
You know what? As stunned as I am, I mean, I'm sure you guys talked about the final play. No reaction from Tatum there. What was he so pissed off about? I mean, that layup with the foul to take the lead with 4 seconds left. I mean, it's okay to smile. It's okay to. I know we haven't had that many reasons to be happy, but damn, was that? Well,
they had to get back and get a stop. I was surprised they got the stop on the other end the way Beal had been scoring.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you want to see from Tatum. I mean, this guy I saw before the game. No one's played more minutes in February than Tatum, so he is gassed. He is winded. This All-Star break could not come soon enough, and I know it's not really a break because he's going to Atlanta, but it'll certainly be nice for him to get some time off. But well deserved. I mean. That is the closer, Jayson Tatum, that we've seen rarely this season, but we've seen bits and pieces of. The way he took control and took over the game, that is the mark of a superstar number 1 player. And we've all been asking over the last few weeks, do the Celtics have one of those guys? I know a lot of people have been starting to wonder if they just have two Robins instead of a Batman. And I'm not going to just say because of this game that all of a sudden Jayson Tatum's a bona fide superstar, but these are the types of performances down the stretch, coming back, putting the team sort of on your back in a way and taking over. That's what you look for, and you hope to see more and more of that to come. But
Jimmy,
obviously, good sign.
Jimmy, though, look at what we got in the banner there. We'll never know how many assists he got, but turnovers that they make the John banner.
Yeah, they do. Well, that was another reason why I was like, I don't know if I can sit through another show of John just bashing Tatum from start to finish. So.
How many assists did he have,
The reason assists don't make it in it because assists are not relevant. He had 3 of them tonight, okay?
Oh, okay.
4 turnovers is high. 3 assists is unremarkable. So you pick the stats that tell a story.
That's true.
Okay, that's how the game is played.
We didn't get the 2-point field goal stat only. We didn't get that one today, so that's good.
So you can make a good point, John. I know what we would have been talking about if that Tatum performance went the way it was looking for a little bit. We would have been talking about him pregame saying, oh, am I going to do the 3-point shootout? Yeah. Am I going to do the skills competition? And he's been in such a slide. Yeah. People weren't going to love hearing that, but he dug deep for this one, definitely. Yeah, like that got it going. I didn't love that heave he threw up at the end of the first, but the more I watch him and the more we get frustrated with the shot selection and all this stuff, when I see a play like down the stretch, him spinning away from Beal into that fadeaway dish, like nothing but net, absolute splash. I mean, there's a poetry to this guy's game that you don't see a lot around the league. Like it occasionally gets beautiful. It really does. And there's not many guys left who dance around the mid-range, do some of those things with fadeaways. And, I don't want to say Kobe Bryant-esque, but there's not many guys left with that fluidity and that motion to their game. It's a lot of pull-up threes, that kind of stuff. And tonight, we don't see it consistently enough yet, but tonight you do see that with Tatum. Like, this was a special performance from him.
Well, we were talking, Bobby, and guys jump in here because, Josue, you were out there in LA last year during that big kind of, the game where he went off, and it's kind of like that massive moment. And around this time last year, heading into, this period, pre-shutdown, he is all of that stuff you're talking about, he was doing with regularity. And we were talking about it, that we haven't seen the same guy since the shutdown at all. And that's in the bubble and the first 30 games this year. Granted, he missed some with COVID, but that, I'm going to do anything I want to do and make every shot right in your face and just break your spirit and demoralize you. It's asking a lot for a guy to constantly make ridiculously difficult shots, but that's what he was doing. And when you do that, you're literally just ripping people's soul out. I mean, that's why these guys, these killers, Lillard, Curry, and these guys, they're pulling up from 40 feet. You're like, what am I supposed to do to defend these guys? Tatum had that mojo going last year where it was like, why do I bother guarding him? He's just going to hit all of it. And I don't know if the problem is you fall in love with that a little bit. They start to not fall. All of a sudden, you're a guy who's taking bad shots. It just feels like he hasn't been there. So, I liked tonight. I liked what he did late. I liked the closing stuff. And, it is as you said, it's a glimpse. It's not all the way, but it's a glimpse of the stuff that you want to see him do on a regular basis. And it felt like he was doing, it felt like he was automatic 40 at this point last year.
Well, like we said last
question. Yeah. And that was before and after the All-Star break, right, John?
Yes.
That was
heading in and right after.
Yeah. And once it was official, I remember mentioning this on the Garden Report, it was like a different approach before the games. He was saying, talking to the media a little more friendly, big smiles, the way he carried himself. So yeah, I think, look, the last couple of months, I've noticed that Tatum trying to get back to being that guy, and obviously doing it in a way that we were questioning him. And that was me, especially the last couple of games, thinking, look, you have to do what's best for this team. What Mike Gorman said, I tend to agree with that. Maybe that he doesn't go out there and doesn't make his teammates better, but I don't think he was necessarily trying to put an emphasis on that. And now he's doing a little bit of both. He wants to be that killer that the Celtics need him to be in the fourth quarter. And obviously, when you saw those games where he, it took him over 20 shots or well over 20 shots to get to 20 points, and the percentage wasn't great, and he's jacking up these tough threes. But when they go in, it's devastating. Like you said, those are the shots that can really demoralize a team. Of course, Bradley Beal had plenty to say on the other end in this particular case, but that doesn't always happen. You don't always have a stone cold killer on the other end. And of course, even when he did have a stone cold killer in Bradley Beal, Jayson Tatum did his thing, was able to close this thing out. But again, he needed help. Daniel Tice hit 4 straight, jump shots that the Wizards were wanting him to take, and he made all 4 of them. That's a big play. That's what superstars do.
Say this. We talked about this briefly in the last episode because we were pretty critical of Tatum, deservedly so. It looked like then that when Joe Sway, we talked about how his wind up to the shot is almost so predictable. It's when he's about to take the shot, and defenders can sort of. No, Tatum. Sorry.
Oh, Tatum. Oh, when he's dribbling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know if that's just him being tired or what, but we've been seeing him almost be a step slow, not just moving up and down the court, but with the shot. And he's been sort of relying on his length to shoot over players, not necessarily his quickness to get that separation. So it was good for me at least to see him drive a little bit, and especially on that last possession, instead of relying on the turnaround fadeaway jumper that he doesn't seem to get good looks on. I mean, I don't think he's been hitting that shot at a very good clips, especially since coming back from COVID. So, I mean, those are kind of things you need to do to get going, is to, get that contact, drive to the rim, kind of like how we see Kemba do. Another guy who I thought, another solid performance from Kemba tonight too.
Mike and Scout are still looking for that foul.
Yeah.
Yo,
didn't hear it.
He didn't let it go either. It was just
2 straight minutes. They're and we're getting a free throw, and I'm like, guys.
Ooh, Jimmy too.
I did a triple take. I'm
talking about so much.
Yeah. I missed that. I don't see them lining up. What are you talking about?
No.
Plus, the play right before the timeout, I'm staring at the referee. No one called a foul. I'm like, what is Scal talking about?
Yeah.
Well, how about the play before when he falls out of bounds? They go to a replay there. That didn't need to be a replay at all, and that's what we were talking about with the Pelicans game last Sunday. Just the pacing in that spot completely screwed up. And you know what? That probably helped the Celtics. They got a whole timeout out of that replay, set something up. It took Tatum a long time to get that inbounds pass in, but they had a nice motion there to get into Pritchard and work it out to Tatum on that right wing. And it was just the kind of execution we haven't seen from this team in a long time down the stretch there. That's really all there is to it. Few stops. Defense wasn't great tonight, but offensively is what they're looking for improvement-wise right now, so you'll take all of that.
Hold on. Back to Scal real quick, though.
Yeah.
What's up?
Are they in the building for the home games, or are they calling?
Yeah. Bobby, have you heard Scal yet? Did he do his post-game hit? Because he screams. Did you hear him?
No, I haven't. I mean, they're usually right below the balcony here, but they moved them. I think they're getting ready to bring fans in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he usually does his post-game right below you. But no, one last thing on Scal, too, again, with the what was it, the block that was clearly hit the glass first, and
it was
like,
close. I actually thought what he thought too.
I didn't like the call.
I thought Tatum got it clean, and Rob caught it.
Yep, that's exactly what Brad was saying.
Yeah, but I thought the first time, the first block, it was clearly on the glass, though. You didn't see that?
And then the one replay they showed, it looked like Tatum either picked it right off the glass or it was simultaneous. It was closer. In real time, I thought Tatum off the glass, then Rob. I thought the complaint was valid on that one.
Yeah,
and then
I agree.
The replay looked really close.
Again, if it's that close, give it to the blocker. Pace of play, keep the game moving, and you have an exciting chase down block in that spot. Who cares about a goaltending basket? I'm not saying allow goaltending, but on plays like those, they gave it to LeBron way back when.
Yeah, I don't care. That was a weird one, but you're right. He was that was another one there. Yeah, I mean, Kemba.
Oof.
Oh man,
What do you think?
Another great game.
Another solid game.
Yeah,
I mean, listen.
We talked about it last game or last show, bridging the gap. Between those stretches where they can't seem to score. I thought he did a really good job of just attacking. Keeping the Wizards on their heels, and of course scoring and getting to the free throw line. That's another part of his game. I think that it's going to go a long way for this team if he can keep doing that on a consistent level. What do you have? 5? Yeah, he went 4 or 5 from the free throw line. That's 5 to 8 free throws a game. I think is easily.
It's the stuff around the basket that's encouraging.
That too, especially. Yeah, finishing
right?
strong. That's what worries us.
Finishing more, right?
Yeah.
Or awareness of when not to just throw it up and get it blocked. He was trying to sneak too many shots up. I felt in the early going, and that could have been a rhythm thing where he thinks he's got a step and he doesn't realize oh, this guy's big, or he's got me, or he's caught me, or I didn't get enough of it. And like I said, he's keeping guys a little bit more on his hip. What he did to was it Collins? Who did he abuse last game?
I know you're talking about. You're talking about the when he switched up the ball.
On Turner. When he kept Miles Turner, that kind of stuff. Like he's doing more of that now. That you can definitely see. So he's definitely getting a lot more shots off, and also just pulling it back around when he doesn't have it. But the Walker Tice combo there in that fourth when it almost got away from him, that saved their bacon right there.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of absorbing contact, that's what he's been doing a really good job of lately. That 3-pointer, usually it's way up, but to me, that was 3 free throws. When he got that one late in the fourth quarter, it should have been. That one, give it to Kemba next time.
That should have been.
Kemba Walker looking more like Kemba Walker, and that's really all this is about. The problem with the Celtics this year is that they're asking a lot of players, or a lot of their best players, to do things that they aren't necessarily best at, and that's like playmaking and distributing and things like that. Like Kemba Walker just needs to play his game, and it's not up to him to it's not fair to ask him to completely change his game and who he is and adapt to everybody else. Where I still think he deserves the amount of respect, where players should still be adapting and adjusting to him. Allow him to play his game and play around him at certain points. This
is going to be that conversation and the problem, right? Of can Tatum, Brown, and Kemba coexist when each of them needs the ball, And it's obvious. It's been obvious. Jalen a couple times has felt underutilized, and then has tried to force the issue in spurts in games or the next game. So that's still a balance they're working on. And again, I wish we were past this, because this is just it reeks of 2 years ago, which is. And again, it's not the same because it's not as many people who need the ball, but just having issues where you've got people who need the ball to be effective all the time. I hate saying it's an ill-fitting roster, but again, that's something they got to figure out how to work it out so it doesn't become an issue where, only one guy can live while the other, whatever, the whole Harry Potter thing. You want them all thriving at the same time.
So I saw an interesting stat tonight that the Celtics only throw their roll men. Jared White said this 5% of the time in the pick and roll. And all of that seems to be Kemba. Like when Kemba's on the ball running that pick and roll, he seems to work in those centers in a way that no one else on this roster in terms of ball handlers does. And that's, back to Tice, what got them going on those 4 straight assists.
He gets swallowed up a lot, though. There was a few that they tried with Rob earlier in the game where he just gets kind of eaten up and he can't make a pass on the roll there.
Yeah, and that's like that's the gaps between Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. There's just these little advantages they all have over each other as ball handlers. Tatum gets the most gravity. Kemba has that downhill view, the pull up, that kind of stuff. And Brown gets to the basket probably better than all three of them.
But he doesn't see. He's not finding people.
Yeah. So like all three of them have advantages, and it's like, how do you work out that hierarchy? And it's obvious Tatum's going to get the most time there because he's your best scorer, he's your best player. But then number two is always going to be, is Kemba going to work off the ball a little more? Is Brown going to work? It's the story of this team really right now. And as they've tried to get ball movement going these last couple of games, Kemba's been such a big part of it. Jimmy's right. Like you can't have him off the ball more than you would ever in other scenarios.
I was just watching Grant Williams slander on the timeline just cracks me up.
He had a big three. Come on.
Dude, every time I look at the chat,
it mattered less tonight.
He had a big three in the fourth or the late third.
I know. It's like every time I look at the chat, it's like
that everyone was holding their breath when he took that one.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Tice made that one on Friday.
If it's not Teague in the chat, it's Grant in the chat.
Yeah.
Hey,
Rob.
So
I put that one up. We can talk about the bigs a little bit. This was obviously Tice had an awesome game.
This was a Tice game, yeah.
Two interesting things. Rob had had a classic Rob, maddeningly inconsistent game, was late on closeouts, defensive positioning all night, seemed a little bit off.
Fouling so much.
Fouling. Also, a couple of them were questionable. I thought one early was like he's there, but he fouled quite a bit. So he did not have a really good defense. He had one of those games where Brad's like, this is why I don't play him games. Like he wishes he did a radio interview after tonight and he could put this game up and say, do you see? That's why I don't. But again, also he grabs three alley-oops 15 feet above the rim and throws them down behind his ears.
That start of the fourth was the whole Rob experience, the 15-foot alley-oop. And he really does. They did the tracking on that Pelicans one a week ago. It was like 15 feet in the air.
Oh, my God.
And then after that, it's the offensive rebound right into the turnover.
He gets a rebound, he lands, and he doesn't know where to go.
He does that so much.
He tried to outlet it, and there was nobody there, and he turned it over. So it looks like it's such an easy play to crap on him, but also he skied up over three people, to grab the rebound.
No, he left his feet, right, John? Like that's why he just threw a pass.
Yeah, he left his feet
there because he lost.
I don't want to be here anymore, and he turned around, and there was no one there. But in addition to Rob's imperfect game, it was interesting. Tristan Thompson had a really weird stat line too.
He had that missed layup.
I mean, but did you see his final stat line? I'm going to pull it up. It
was very boring.
No, it was weird.
He missed a ton of shots.
13 rebounds, 1 of 9.
1 of 9.
Oof,
how are you a center?
Rebounds.
How are you a center in the NBA?
That's what I'm talking about. That one play. That one play where he got
shot.
Where is he shooting from?
If he's Porzingis, that'd be different. But
did you guys see
1 of 9 from 3? Oh, the average distance of his shots was 2.5 feet away from the basket.
The name of the game tonight was when he bumped Robin Lopez off him into the stands because Robin flopped, and then wide open layup. He could have flushed that home, thrown it down, and he just did like the softest little floater attempt right there.
He can't dunk anymore.
Missed it.
But
he tried to put it back with a dunk.
That third quarter was brutal. And they started the regular starting lineup. Tristan played in that stretch. Tristan played in that stretch and never played again. Never played again. He went to the bench at the 6-minute mark, and he never came out again. You tried some Rob. Rob played into the fourth, inconsistent. Obviously, Tice came back in and closed, but they went with Semi and Grant and a different whatever. But they were done with double big after the start of that third quarter. And
this is all I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm not blasting Rob. I don't dislike Rob, but the center position is what it is. It's 3 guys splitting time, roles, who's hot that night, that kind of stuff.
Monster. I like it.
I just want it to be 2 guys.
It's Rob Stone.
Well, Thompson had value in that first half. He had a good first half. He did.
Well, ideally, you would like to split those guys' minutes down the middle, but I just think Thompson, those offensive rebounds, those nights when he comes up big, gives you those second chance opportunities, the rah plays, the energy. I mean, this second unit always needs that, John. That's the thing. So there's always a spot for him.
Yeah.
All we've been saying throughout with the Rob Williams experience, not to redo the whole thing, is just simply all I want to do is I want to flip his and Thompson's minutes and the way they're being utilized. Thompson to me should be the guy that occasionally plays 9 minutes, sometimes plays 15, 18, depending on the matchup, but he should clearly be the third, and it should and again, I just don't want to see that double big lineup really starting once you're full again. So again, the challenge is going to be when you have Smart back and you have a fully healthy lineup and you go with your starters and you probably kick Thompson to the bench, what's the rotation look like there? And that's where it gets complicated. I'm afraid, again, Rob's minutes are going to shrink down back to 13, 14, 15 there because of that. And that's going to drive me crazy. It's not as, we're not talking about he should play 35 and everybody else 10, but right. I'm worried it's going to be too balanced. And I just think what he brings to the game far exceeds what Thompson's going to bring you, even though you're going to rotate them all in. That's basically the conversation.
Well, after tonight, he may not play again. So, I mean, that's the type of leash that he's on with Stevens. So, but this is why the name Rob Stonk came about, is because you have these crazy up and down performances with him, like GameStop. That's
a great segment.
That's why he's Rob Stonk, and you got to take the good with the bad. But you're right, John. I mean, we're not asking for 30-plus minutes. Nobody is, but he should be averaging, in my opinion, around 20. I think that's a fair number. And if that means cutting into some of Thompson's minutes, then I don't think anyone's going to be upset with that. And like you said, when Marcus Smart comes back, all those minutes are going to dwindle a little bit. I mean, that's 30 minutes that you've got to put together. So yeah, he's gonna lose some minutes there. But we talked about it so many times. He, for some reason, gets treated like under a mistakes are under a microscope, unless on the team, it feels like.
Look, he did a bad thing. That's why he doesn't play. In the meantime, while you're texting that thing that Rob did bad, one other player turned it over and another guy friggin' airballed a three. It's
Tice traveled. Yeah, you were on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tricky
Tice experience late, like we were joking about it on the text thread, but he hits those buckets and then he's late on a closeout. He does something else here. It's like they're imperfect players,
Right.
Yeah. Rob's positioning defensively is still an issue too, to some degree. And I don't overly criticize defense because they're good out there defensively when he's out there. I mean, his defensive rank's fantastic. But Beal was pulling him out of the post tonight on those switches in a way that just wasn't sustainable. Like, he would get that switch every time and just drag him right out to the 3-point line and have that open lane to the rim. And that's what was plaguing the Celtics late here. So again, this is all situational. Like, I actually think Rob's in the perfect place right now, minute-wise. He's in the perfect position to succeed with those bench units, and he has great games right now. I don't know what you can be mad about. This notion that he's going to be a 30-minute a game, Anthony Davis level impact player. Yeah, but everyone every night's more Rob. It's not like he doesn't play.
More Rob. I still want more Rob.
Wasn't it the perfect amount of Rob tonight?
Again, he's averaging 15. I want it to be closer to 25.
He played 17 minutes tonight. I'm fine with like 22.
Even so you would have pushed him further into the fourth after what we saw?
Well, tonight wasn't his night.
I'm just saying regularly. I mean, yeah, obviously if he's having a shit night like Thompson, you pull Thompson, he's 1 for 9 from the field. I mean, there's a player who's off, you take him out. I mean, that's just the name. That's coaching. But generally speaking, the point is he should be playing more than what he has been playing. And I think his performance is not necessarily tonight, but
it was easy to go small tonight, so you just didn't need bigs. This wasn't a matchup where you were super worried that you had to get beefy down low, Though,
yeah, but Thompson had a good first half. He had those offensive rebounds, a couple kickouts, which was surprising. I mean, Joe Sway was on top of that.
You replace him with Rob in there. Rob's rebounding and his offensive rebounding ability is equal to, if not greater than Thompson's. We've seen it all season. So I just don't think Thompson does it at a higher level. When he gets those rebounds, great. But I don't think Rob would not have gotten as many rebounds given those minutes. If the only thing Thompson does better than Williams at this point is rebounding, I would argue that they're actually pretty close. If not, Rob is actually slightly a better rebounder. So I actually don't know Thompson's value anymore. Also because defensively, he hasn't been great this year, which is why, again, I'm willing to live with Rob's, issues. But we've had this conversation a bit. What happened to our boy Nesmith?
Benched.
Gone, right?
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, he'd been the first guy off the bench for weeks now.
Gone. Last 2 games gone. He's out of the rotation. It just happened.
I don't get it. I really don't. Like, I get that Jeff T.
He doesn't shoot.
He wasn't great.
He doesn't shoot.
Fired. but he's not, minus those 2 back-to-back performances where he scored 14 points. I mean, he's been okay, right? I'm not in the camp of bench. You have to bench Teague altogether, but Nesmith has to get his reps in. Like, you have to find minutes for him, and I just don't agree with this. Put him out there for a week and then pull him and then put him back out there and see what he's learned the last. After what's a couple of DNPs going to do to the kid? Like, I don't like this experiment that bracket.
I agree.
We're going to see him right before the All-Star break. You're going to see Nesmith again, and then he's going to go into the All-Star break and come back and being like, where do I stand with this team? And I guess that is part of the rookie experience, especially for someone like him. The ups and downs of the rookie experience. But I just don't get what in the end that's going to do for someone for a team like the Celtics that it's going to need someone like that in the long run.
Yeah, Nesmith wasn't amazing in the recent weeks.
Nope.
He earned it with the scrappiness, with some of the defensive hustle that he showed and rebounding, those type of things. But it wasn't to the point where he was going to be a shoo-in for minutes. Now, I think what you could grapple with is Green versus him. It's probably a similar level of impact between those two right now. Because honestly, if we're talking Semi,
you think?
And I told you guys this a month ago or so. Semi's right around that 40% from 3 mark, and that ended up being the right guy to go to in the crunch time tonight. And Green defensively, I think, is positionally sound, brings some verticality, some basket threat on offense. John's right. If Nesmith or Jimmy rather's right, if he's not going to shoot, if he's not going to be a threat on offense, it's really tough to play him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's killing me. I agree. Jimmy, you can have it back, but I agree that 100%. That's
now they could do things to get him more involved, which we've talked about.
He's acquitting himself fine through hustle and thus not making it so he can earn his time. He's not going out there and playing like a dog, but he's not making the most of his opportunity because he's just not seeking out his shot. He's not moving without the ball. I don't know if that's by design, but he's standing around. Again, I don't know if the offense is stand in the corner to create space. That's all we need you to do, because he doesn't. And then he just doesn't get the ball. We've talked about Brad not running sets for him, but he's not looking for anything. He's not. You look at a guy like Pritchard when he's out there, he's looking for his offense. Nesmith is not looking for his offense.
So, don't quote me on this, but didn't very recently, and I don't know if it was on 98.5 or somewhere, Brad specifically mentioned, like, players can't be watching, like, guys like Tatum and Brown do everything and expect them to do it all. And they need to go out there and contribute on their own and look for their own shots. I wonder if that was who he was talking about, because Nesmith, when I heard a quote, something similar, I was like trying to think, oh, wait, who could he be talking about? Like, he's not talking about the bigs. He's not talking about, a guy like Teague. I mean, it felt like Nesmith was maybe the guy he was referencing. And when you go back and look at the film, he doesn't shoot the ball. He doesn't look for the shot. They barely even look for him. And we joke about how they look him off and just completely ignore him. Maybe they just don't like playing with this guy, or he's not ready to play at this level. I know that we've gone on the show and say the only way he's going to get better is if he plays, which is true. But I was kind of surprised that he went from not playing to playing like 25 plus minutes. I thought that was a little weird. I don't really like the DNPs, but at the same time, if you have other guys contributing like Green, like Semi, then you're trying to win games at the end of the day. I mean, it's one thing to try to get a guy going, get him acclimated, but it's another thing if he's costing you wins and losses. So I think that he might be one of the players that Stevens may have been referencing when saying that Brown and Tatum are having to do it all out there, and guys are just kind of standing around and watching instead of contributing.
No, I'm glad you bring that up. That's something I wanted to talk about on Friday when we talked about a ton of stuff on Friday, but we didn't get to this. John Corrales asked a great question about the ball movement, things that we've talked about, like all the standing in the corner and the lack of motion and cutting and all that stuff. Right. And Brad said, many of our guys' strength, best attributes, scoring with the ball, Kemba, Jalen, Jayson. And then he says, we need a cut. We need to find more creative ways for others to break down the defense off the ball. And then he said, we got to force it. We don't have the best personnel to do it right now, but we have to force it. And I actually thought Nesmith was part of a good unit, the second quarter unit on Friday with Jeff Teague and others that were getting the ball popping, moving, cutting, that kind of stuff. You missed it on Friday. I said a few nice things about Jeff Teague.
Yeah, you missed it, John. I know you enjoyed it.
It wasn't an apology, Cam, but it was a few nice things sprinkled in.
You missed a tough weekend for Bobby.
To the precipice of the apology, Cam. Yeah, the Brad.
You're
bad,
still on the hook for the Kemba one.
Brad bad, Rob good, Teague good. I can't believe I missed these last two games.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob was so good on Friday. But yeah, is Neesmith part of the solution there, or is he part of the problem in that sense? The standing, the watching. I think Brad's
standing, but again, we don't know. Is he supposed to? I can't believe that's if he's
Brad
doing that.
Says he's on the floor for floor spacing. That's what he says.
That's what I mean. And so I understand if it's basically we just want you to hang in the corner. If one of these guys comes down, we'll get you the ball. It never happens. But he does that. He on offense, he comes and he runs to the corner and he stays there for 20 seconds.
I don't have a problem with that, John. Honestly, for 10, 11 minutes, I don't, because you know what? Brad has always talked about how he's adjusting.
Come off the screen, something.
He's adjusting to the NBA speed. So let him adjust, okay? He's not going to adjust sitting on the bench. He's not going to adjust pulling up to practice 2 hours early like he's been doing, and he continues to do that. That's going to help your game. It's going to help you, get time on the floor. But how is he going to adjust to NBA speed?
What if Tatum, what if Brown, what if those guys trust Green, Ojeleye more? It's like Brady and the receivers. I'll pull a John here. Like what if he trusts the Julian Edelman and a Gronk?
I'm not saying play the guy for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I just don't understand. Again, big picture wise, I feel like this team is going to come down. It's going to come down to needing more scoring from the perimeter. Going to come down to
why we want to see. That's why we want the forced minutes.
Yeah. No, Friday was the formula.
Right. I'm with you, Joseph. That's why you want that. Yeah.
Let him adjust.
Friday was a better formula than tonight. Because honestly, Green wasn't that great tonight. I mean, in crunch time, he came up big with the bucket there, which Neesmith probably couldn't have gotten in that spot. But there was room for a few Neesmith minutes here. You're right, Josue.
Well, that's the thing is like Green played 33 minutes. Like, he's just not that type of a play. Like, would Green play 33 minutes on any other team in the NBA? I find it like hard to believe.
Breaking news.
Depends on the week.
Breaking news. Ready?
Yeah.
Daniel Tice just revealed that Romeo is close to returning.
Daniel Tice just revealed that?
He was talking
about say Daniel Tice just released. That's what you sounded like.
I was like, wait, what? I'm like, what?
I'm like, okay.
That was a weird verb.
Daniel Tice, I can't wait until after the All-Star break when we hopefully have everything back. I think Smark's coming back. I think Romeo is close. That's the closest we have to a Romeo update. Brad literally forgot his name. It's like Brad
was looking at the team. Was like, did he just say Romeo?
Romeo's like one of those Winter Soldier names for Brad that's going to trigger him into something. Like he's not allowed. No one's allowed to. Like he's not allowed to talk about it. Like he won't give you anything on Romeo. So this is the closest we have to an update.
Romeo's so far away. You see him on the back bench back here. He wears winter gloves in the garden just because he's so far from the court. It's so cold in here. It's only the way you can stay warm.
Who do you think these guys hate more, Romeo or Neesmith? The Celtics, because they clearly don't like those guys.
Probably Neesmith. Seems like
they definitely don't like him, right?
They played. They got Romeo more involved in this. It felt like, and it was close. I mean, they've both been largely uninvolved, but when Romeo was around, he was more involved than when Neesmith's been around. It feels like.
I know.
What happens to
Neesmith can't get minutes now?
Who's going to be the chosen one between those two when Langford gets back? I mean, it just adds another layer to this. Brad likes the defense, and Langford's got that.
Well, you said you'd trade him for Barnes, so maybe there's a deal there.
I mentioned this on Friday, John. One Kings writer wrote, all he wants for Barnes is Neesmith. That's it.
What?
Yep.
All you need is Neesmith.
You could clone Neesmith and send 3 of them over there for Barnes, and I would do that.
I was a little hesitant on Friday to say that, to pull that trigger, but I don't know. I guess
Neesmith. Yes, Neesmith is PPE, and you can have a draft pick too.
Now, if he has 15 points in 2 days, he'll be untouchable. That's how it goes around here.
That's Bobby? You literally said Rob Williams was basically untouchable on Friday.
I still kind of feel that way.
John,
I wouldn't give him up loosely.
He won't trade. He doesn't want to play Rob Williams.
What did we say?
Play Rob Williams. He said he wouldn't include Rob Williams in a package for Vucevic.
Because that's my point. It's a process. They're working towards something,
right? What did we say? We said it. We said this a few weeks ago or months ago. the reason the Celtics at this point have no one of any value. If and when they do get people of value, no one's going to want to trade them anymore.
So that's exactly what we said.
Williams starts to play like he did on Friday, no one's going to want to include him into a package for Barnes. Now it's going to be like, can we just do Grant and Javonte instead?
Barnes, absolutely. Bobby said he wouldn't include him in the package for Vucevic.
Yeah. So that's what happens is you need these guys to play better, to be attractive enough to trade them. But the problem is we fall in love with these guys, or Celtics fans fall in love with these guys, and the second you see flashes, you're like, oh my God, not Rob, you know?
He's part of the future. They're working toward more minutes, more in the season, and then in
guys like that, man, they got to show out in the postseason. Like that's what makes a team say, okay, I like this guy. I want that guy. You know, he can do something here that will really help us, you know, put us at the next level. And until that happens, you know, this upcoming postseason, I'm sure Rob will get plenty of whatever, whether it's playing time, Rob, or whether we get what Jimmy wants, the 20-minute Rob. We're gonna get one or the other, so he's gonna get plenty of exposure.
Unless, like Jimmy said, they initially loved these guys in the draft, any opposing team. It is interesting to think about what the market's going to be like. Like, we all assume it's going to be this tough, but I hear a writer say Neesmith, and that's it. And I'm like, all right, that might be able to play ball a little bit more now.
Does that guy have any followers?
It could be me saying that. I mean, would you believe me
Right.
if I said, "Oh yeah, give me this guy"? Like, who the hell am I?
Did we vet this person, Jimmy?
I believe you. Depends who you spoke to. I'm like, give me your source. Where's your source here?
Literally nobody. It's probably like, who knows? Like, yeah.
Yeah, but Jimmy, you're not going to go on Twitter and be like, oh, if you want Marcus Smart, just give us Okongwu. You know, just give us Kira Lewis, like some guy from the draft last year.
You might, Bobby. You might say something crazy like that.
I don't say crazy things. Come on.
I'm just not going to put any stock into it. I mean, I have no idea who that guy's talked to.
It was one of their bigger writers on. I can't think of them.
Wait a minute, Bobby. You're not doing the. Another reporter said it, but it's what you think is enough to do. You're not doing that thing, are you?
No. He tweet. I'll find the tweet for you guys later. I'll tweet it out. Yeah.
But you know what I mean, right, Bobby? Some people do that. Some people is like, I think this might happen, and I don't have a source to say it, but I'm gonna say, oh, I heard from another reporter that is like, wait.
He tweeted this out. I'm gonna go find the tweet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said it's a tweet. Okay. All right.
Get Drapes.
We should get Drapes on the show. Get his opinion.
What does Draper want for Harrison?
No, I had Drapes on Causeway Street.
Did you ask that question, Josue?
No, yeah. Well, he was the one. Obviously, we talked about TPE options, and he was the one that was like, listen, and I agree with him. What's going to force Sacramento to do this trade right now? He's got years on his contract. Again, it's going to be one of those, I'm not going to call it a Godfather offer, but it's going to be the centerpiece of a package deal for someone like Barnes. It's going to be more than someone like Rob Williams or Neesmith, you know?
More than Rob?
No.
I threw out Marcus Smart, and he said that could get the conversation started.
Oh, come on, Draper. He's doing the Celtics thing for the Kings now.
Drapes is trying to get fired. So Drapes trying to get fired so we can get back here.
I mean, between that,
you realize
the way he put it, Halliburton and
Marcus Smart
and De'Aaron Fox. Those are only the essential quote unquote untouchables that he sees on that roster.
See, and I said I'd give away Smart for Collins, but Collins is one thing, and Barnes is a role player. He really is. You know, like
that's what
I wouldn't give up a future piece.
They need Bobby. They need a really good role player right now.
Yeah, but you're gonna give up one of your
a very important role.
One of your like best players right now in Smart, or a foundational future piece.
They don't have another because they're
yeah. What you lose is greater than what you add.
They have no playmakers. If you had something,
I'm not in the camp that I would do something like that. I'm just in the camp of it's going to take more than a Neesmith to get a deal like that done.
You're underrating the picks, guys. I mean, the picks are so crucial because you can kick this into the future, add now, and give up nothing now. Like this team's so thin, they can't give up stuff now.
So this was the question I was going to ask next.
Here we are, TP talk.
We're getting in this. Okay, this is officially the silly part of the show, I guess.
Yeah, we're back.
We're going to talk about trading Jaylen Brown and Bradley Beal and all this. Okay.
I'm just asking you this: if you had to make a big splash, does this do it?
Hey, I've been saying that.
No.
This is not do it. Forget about how much you like Jaylen. Style and fit players. Is there anything Beal does for this team currently that Jaylen doesn't do? I don't know. I wouldn't do
Jaylen. Now you might need to, but again, you're swapping out something that you need for the system that you want to carry forward. You want a big three there. Now, I dump everything, 7 picks, Rob, Neesmith, Langford, all that different kind of stuff. It might not be enough, but my scenario is if he ended up forcing his way here eventually, you kind of have the upper hand in that spot. So that's the only way they're going to do it. They would never flip Brown for him.
So what's funny is you realize like 98% of the NBA would absolutely think that this is a win for Boston. But like here,
Right.
it would be like, we can't give up Jalen.
It could be a win, but you're swapping out an all-star for an all-star. And that, it might move the needle a little bit, but you'd still have a depth issue. You'd still have defensive concerns.
It could be a lateral move. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lateral move. That's a good way to put it.
Sounds like a lateral move at best, You want to put him next to those guys. You want to have him as the third guy, when that contract is up, maybe sometime down the road if the Celtics, position themselves. But you don't want to swap out one of these all-stars for Beal. You want to put him next to those 2 all-stars.
That's Bobby's trade right there. That's
Yeah,
Bobby.
Dump those picks. I never want to talk about the draft again.
That's a great comment.
Man, Jalen for Beal, would I do it? It's so tough, man. I mean, it's
here
tough
we
to
go
say-
again. Too many wings.
It's just tough. It's tough to say no to acquiring a guy like Beal. I mean,
Sometimes you know to the leading scorer in the NBA,
Yeah.
but again, right.
it's just tough. I mean, you're giving up Jaylen Brown, and with the idea that you actually think he could get better, right? Than he is. I think Beal is as good as you're ever, and he's very good, but I don't think he's going to get any better. than he
Listen,
is,
Yeah, but those two,
He
those
just
two
did,
remind me
right?
a lot. Maybe it's just me, but it reminds me a lot of LeBron and D Wade. It would be very, very similar, their approach and the way they would attack.
You need 3. I mean, did Brooklyn give up Kyrie for Harden? You do whatever you can to just get those 3 together. Trade everything else.
I don't think you do it because of the lateral move aspect of it, but it is an interesting.
Now, they've been really good. Tonight would have been 8 out of 9 for them. So they're trending in the right direction. The scenario I played out early in the year is kind of gone for them right now. They're going to be in the playoff picture deep into the year, probably.
because I know we stopped talking about it, but I just want to reiterate that the whole Rob thing and trading him. What we said in the last show, John, is that one of the reasons why Danny Ainge might not want to make a deal right now is because if he can hang on to Rob for the rest of this season and through the playoffs, which is another reason why you don't tank, and Rob puts together some good performances, you really do have a good tradable asset to put with the TPE, and you can talk about maybe a Beal-like levels trade. If I'm not saying that's all.
Can't do Beal then. He's
I know,
$35 million after this year.
No, I get that, but I'm talking about that caliber of a player with the TPE involved, because of right now, you really can't get that great of a player with the TPE because, again, you don't have a whole lot of assets to put with it. I know that we've really talked about this a lot, but now it's starting to say, okay, you might have something here in Rob, right? So if you hold on to that and he puts together a solid season and a solid postseason, you have something to offer, which is better than not having anything to offer. Whether or not you end up pulling the trigger or not on the deal, you at least have that option now.
Hey, I think you got to push the issue on it. You need stuff now. You can always trade that stuff later. You're going to tank a season if you don't add stuff now. I keep saying this. They're way too thin. If they get injured come playoff time, they're an automatic out at that point.
If you get injured come playoff time,
that's the way it is.
Live with it. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? It's going to happen almost every year. You need pieces in place that allow you to sustain.
When you're talking about having to go for it, Bobby, you're talking about aging superstars, and they've just on the downside of their prime, and your window is closing with these guys. This isn't the case. You have your 2 superstars locked up who haven't even hit their peak yet.
Yeah, so but I think
there is no single season desperation surrounding this year. If they tank or they go one and done in the first round, so be it. Or someone gets hurt and they fall, down and they're an 8 seed. So be it. You reload. I mean, you come back with 25 and under superstars.
If you don't get something in the offseason at that point, you're losing this $28 million hole forever.
Maybe it's a gamble. We all know it's a gamble.
Massive gamble bringing in the offseason.
It's no worse than squandering it on nothing.
Gamble using it now too.
using it now for something that doesn't really do anything for you long term. You only make the deal when the deal is there. And if if you lose it, that's the gamble. But I get it. Like, it's still better than throwing it away on crap right now just to try and save this season. Like, that makes no sense.
I'm with you, John.
Go ahead, Josue, but you want to make it count. You don't want to just use it to marginally improve.
Well, I'm with you on that, John, but I think it would be a colossal, collapse if they were to get bounced out of the first round for obvious reasons, but specifically the thing that we talked about earlier in the show. I mean, those guys, the Shemis or whoever, Nate Nesmith, Rob Williams, you want to get deep into the playoff because everyone will be watching. You want to put those guys on the national stage. And I think, you go into the TP, you go into the offseason, and let's say you haven't used the TPE, at least now these guys, their stocks are higher than they ever were now. We're talking weeks away from the deadline or whatever it is, and you have a better chance to make a deal. Whereas in the past you didn't have a whole lot of assets to play with, and you didn't have the TPE to plug in there to make a deal work. And now you do, and maybe a couple of those players, there are teams out there that are more likely to do a deal because of one of those guys they really like and they saw what they did in the postseason.
Eventually, there'll be sellers in this market, and at that point, the asking price isn't going to be smart. It's probably not even going to be Rob at that point. Like, there's going to be deals out there, and I still think Barnes could end up in that place where the acquisition costs there wouldn't be insane or something you just can't do. Like, there's going to be, if they make an aggressive offer, especially with the picks, I think there's going to be moves to be made this year. Like, again, I wouldn't be giving up the top level assets for the role guys for the depth that they need, but they can't do nothing right now. And even Ainge, as hesitant as he was to use the TP in those interviews last week, and Wick, they said they might use part of it because they know they need something. There's got to be something here. They can't do nothing with this team because the team's so thin. They need so much right now. They're punting on a season of Tatum's and Brown's prime. Even if you don't think they can win it all this year, you gotta commit to it.
You're not punting. You're just playing it as it lies. You're always looking to improve.
Playing it as it lies is a disaster. They lost the player and didn't replace him.
I know, but that's what happened.
What do you mean?
That's what he did
with those. Not always an option. You can't always undo everything you've done. That's the thing, is because they've always been so rich in assets, you could always say, well, just flip the picks for a star now. They don't have those assets anymore. Like I said, they have
all of their picks.
They have this piece of paper and some really crappy picks and a bunch of young guys on the roster that don't have value yet. So
these aren't great picks. Yeah.
How do you know? 2025. Who knows what the team could look like then?
Again,
put some protections on that. Swaps.
When you have Tatum and Brown locked up for the next 4 years,
especially in the Eastern Conference, Bobby, where you don't have to go 500 to make the playoffs. I mean,
you can look into the Celtics' future and see that you're not going to get anything better than a 15 or 16 pick from them at best in the next 4 years. It's not worth it. You're outside the lottery unless you have to go way into the future to get into to think that you're going to get in the lottery just based on the fact that they have Brown and Tatum.
Yeah, 2 guys under 25.
2 guys under 25 are stars. You can roll those guys out every year with this.
You're going to make the playoffs every single year.
Get into the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, there's definitely a risk to doing it now. There's risk to waiting as well. You mentioned the advantages of waiting. There's teams with cap space. There's free agents that can't be acquired. Yeah, your pick's not as valuable at that point. Every team's wheeling and dealing, so there's a lot of more competition for different players at those spots. There's so much of a risk if you wait up until the last moment. I know the date isn't exact. I think it is next fall that the TP disappears. So there would be some time.
Calendar year.
Yeah. So into the fall, essentially. So the problem is the clock is just ticking so fast at that point. The sense of urgency is going to rise so high. The costs could even push higher at that point. Like, I think the need this season to have an extra player, to have depth, to have, a position that you don't have right now in the wing or point guard or wherever else, it's just so crucial to this team right now, because I don't think this team's in a spot, even though I mentioned tanking a week ago, that you don't give up on this entirely, and you certainly don't do nothing. Like, sitting in the middle the way they are right now is just, it's not an option to me. It really isn't. Yep. They're rung below the best of the East, but they're too good to be getting any good sort of pick or anything like this point. And do we really want to be heading into the draft next year talking about who the Celtics are going to pick? after these last couple of years. I mean, I want to have no pick whatsoever. I want to just sleep through draft night this summer.
Are you upset, Bobby?
Plenty of time to trade the pick. You don't need to trade it like by tomorrow. You still can wait.
Picks have greater value when people know what the picks are.
No, I disagree. When there's a promise of it being like 15 or 16 right now compared to whatever it could be if
or 19,
it's not going to be 15. It's not going to be that bad.
That's about where they are right now.
But I'd be surprised if it was that good of a pick. Maybe it will be. Fine.
Throwing this out there.
Fine.
Throwing this out there for the Beal people, this is the one scenario we've talked about where Beal is possible. The only scenario is he pulls a Harden and holds them hostage and says, trade me to Boston or else. That's it.
That's coming.
No, sure. But I mean, it has to be Boston or else. And I do not believe
that's my conspiracy
scenario.
Well, no, John, you know it's going to be. It's going to be the short list of teams, But
on the short list, again, if it's Boston, Miami, I still think no matter who we're up against, who the Celtics are up against, they're gonna be short on assets.
Yeah.
Has any player ever demanded a trade to Boston? I mean, what are we like? This is what we do.
It's the Tatum thing, Jimmy.
Who
does he want to play with?
Buddies.
Yeah, but Jimmy, you can make a list. You don't think Boston can make it on that? Can make it on that list?
Maybe they can make it on that list, but they still need to have a good trade package to get him. Just because he wants to go to a certain team doesn't mean the Wizards are going to bend over backwards.
All you have to do, everything I've said tonight, you just have to look at that Rockets-Nets deal. I know it was ridiculous, and the Rockets have done some stupid things, but Harden strong-armed them in such a way that all it took was some picks and a couple players and another team to get involved. Like, if he's really pushing Boston.
They traded good players and a lot of picks.
What do we talk about last show, Jimmy, though? Who do we compare Robert Williams to? How did that deal get done? That was a big part of that, right? That's a big pillar. Someone like Jared Allen. If
they don't have a Levert.
If his stock rises up, maybe he's the Jared Allen of the trade. Maybe Neesmith is Levert. It's just too early to say right now. But I think Bradley Beal down the road, absolutely, 100%. If they don't get things together in Washington, which is a really good chance of that, I think he demands a trade. And if he makes a short list, you don't think Boston's on that list? I think 100%.
Absolutely.
He knows going into the situation what it's going to be. Playing next to Jayson Tatum, playing for someone like Brad Stevens. These two, they talk about this stuff all the time. They coming up from St. Louis together, the background, everything.
This is what Celtics fans do. This is what they do. They trick themselves into thinking that they are like the top option in the NBA. Listen, I'm not ruling it out. I can see a scenario where Beal puts the Celtics on the list. Again, it's still going to be difficult to make that trade happen. I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not counting on it.
You're right. You're right about that, Jimmy. Yeah, the pieces are tough to line up there. You're going to need a third team. You're going to need some assets coming in here. And that's another reason why if you get aggressive with the TP now and you bring in a player or players that Washington would want, let's think John Collins, something like that. All of a sudden you have a better package, by multiple steps. Isn't that kind of what led the KG thing into prominence? You flip the draft pick, you flip Green, Allen's here now, and all of a sudden Garnett's a little more willing to play ball. It'd be the other way around. You're trying to make the team play ball.
The Ray Allen trade is what really did it. But
I mean, look,
there's steps to this.
Garnett side off on the.
Right.
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, you've got the 2 stars. And so it's easier to net a third. I don't think Bradley wants to stick around.
Yeah, but now you gotta acquire him without giving up the second star, which is the hard part. And then Beal's salary goes up to $35 million this summer, so the TP is not an option. So now you're talking about matching money. It gets tricky, and I don't think anyone thinks that Beal is gonna ask out this year.
Yeah,
I think the only way that happens, whether it's this year or next, is if they just decide that Tatum and Brown don't work anymore. I think that's the only way the Celtics would actually consider trading for someone like Beal, because that would do it, right?
I don't think there's any way they give up Brown.
Jaylen Brown and a trade man from Bradley Beal gets that done 100%.
Ainge isn't trading Brown.
Biggest trophy because he got killed for the pick. He was certain on it. He held on to him and wouldn't give him up for how many different superstars along the way? Paul George, no. Leonard, no. Friggin' package them together for this. No, people call us on Jaylen and we hang up the phone. He's been so adamant about not trading Brown, and now that he's finally turned into a legitimate star, I just don't see him trading him. I don't. Brown is Danny's great crowning achievement, where everyone thought they booed the freaking pick on draft night.
Yeah, but that wasn't about Jalen. I get it.
It was about ignorance.
Andy's got a phenomenal contract. Okay, Andy's young.
5 years versus 2.
That contract is
but it's the 5-year bargain max. It wasn't max. Like he's got a great contract for his value.
And again, it's a lateral move. You're not getting yourself
I just
anywhere.
don't think Danny does it. Yeah.
I don't either, and that's why I don't think you're going to get him.
Yeah. So we've hit the hour mark, guys. Let's wrap it up because it is a school night and we've hit the hour mark here. But give me closing.
Watch out for those rats, man. It's rat hour over there.
Sometimes I start seeing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby, you're at the Garden. You can start us off.
So who's next? Clippers, right?
Clippers, and then.
So there is a real chance here.
Vulnerable Clippers, man.
Celtics are 10-5 at home now. Played well here. They've blown out a couple teams. They've closed some tough games here Friday, today. It's a real chance to go 4-0 before the break here and end up in a much better spot. And as we talked about tonight, send a message into this. It's not the trade deadline for another month, but into the stretch of 6 days where teams aren't doing anything, maybe some converging on the All-Star game there. Maybe fire up some talks, get things going a little bit. Believe in this team a little more than they have. They're a little healthier right now. They got Kemba playing better. If they go into the break on a 4-game win streak, it's going to be a total flip of the perception around this team compared to where it was a week or 2 ago. But the margins are still so thin. You see tonight, you see on Friday where they almost blew it. Like they have to be so perfect in all these games down the stretch. And they've struggled so much in the fourth quarters, which they're finally starting to turn around, that it's going to be tough to get out of this 500 funk. Again, we all expected this to be like the early season with Kemba gone, all that stuff. Like I expected 500 through 20 games, but to be, into the 30s now, 500, it could be a 500 stretch all season for all we know, the way the team's built right now. So I'll be stunned if they can get out of that, but they can't dip too far below 500, which is what they were at risk of doing a week ago. And now they're in a much better spot because these 2 wins.
Yeah, no question. And this is a good chance for them to grab a win here. And but they have to do a full 48 minutes here. Come out strong, and you can get a win against this vulnerable Clippers team. What is it? They lost tonight. Actually, I think it was. They lost to the Bucks. They lost to the Grizzlies. They've been winning one, lose one, winning one, lose one. They're just looking for the break right now. They're looking for the halftime break or the midseason break. And I think
everybody is.
You grab a huge lead in that first half, and you could beat the Clippers, and that's going to be a big win for this team. 3 wins heading into the break. I mean, they need it. Kemba Walker's looking good. Jayson Tatum is out of his funk. Jaylen Brown will be back into the fold. This is a big game for the Celtics. I think they could actually win this, and I got the win in this one.
Jamie?
My final thoughts. It was a good win Sunday night against the Wizards. It was a game that I didn't expect them to come back and win, so it was refreshing to see Jayson Tatum and the rest of the squad pull it off. They're starting to get some help from other guys. Kemba Walker, obviously has been a huge plus recently. Daniel Tice had a massive shot on Friday night, and then he performed well Sunday. So the big thing was, somebody needs to help Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Well, people are starting to help. So you get through this week here. Whether or not you win or lose is not going to be the end of the world. Get to the All-Star break. Hopefully get some good news on Marcus Smart. Once you get him back into the mix, this is why I'm saying don't make a big panic trade. If you can get Marcus Smart back and start relying on the guys that can contribute the way they have in the past, you're going to be okay. You're going to be a playoff team. You're going to be a tough out. You may not be the best team in the East, but you're not going to tank. You're not going to miss the playoffs, and you're going to go into the offseason with as many assets that you have, and you're going to go in with the idea to improve from there. So that's why I say don't panic and don't act like this is like a closing window. You're still capable of pulling off wins like you did today with the players you have, and that was without Jaylen Brown. So I think it comes down to health and having guys starting to contribute the way that you've seen them in the past.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to say couple quickies.
So apology cam time?
No. I'm hoping this is the game. Tatum turns the corner. Hopeful. Okay. Into that kind of killer Tatum mold. 2, I'm not at all in panic mode surrounding this team because I do think they're too thin to be out 1 and 2 and 3 guys at different times. And I'm for some reason remarkably bullish on Romeo, and I have no idea why, but
I don't know why either.
I think it's going to make some sort of a difference. I don't know why. It just is what it is. Okay.
I guess it can't be worse.
It's going to be inspiring.
I hate him. Like,
is it time for him to get involved enough?
I watched him play last year for 2 seconds. I'm like, I hate this guy. And I feel this way about Neesmith too. I'm like, oh God. But I still, for some reason, I feel like something's going to happen. I can't figure out. I don't think he's going to be a star, but I think it's going to make a difference. That style of player is a style of player we need. Whatever. The third thing, and this will drive me a little bit nuts, is now you've got Jaylen Brown with his knee situation again, flaring up. And every single person thought that the All-Star game was a crappy idea. And then yet nobody is just saying, I'm not going to play in it. So
Durant did. Durant did. Yeah.
Right now it's time for Jaylen to absolutely bow out of this game.
No, come on.
1,000%.
Agreed.
Do not play
if he's hurting, don't play.
Are you kidding me? If you're in a management situation right now and you're day-to-day and you haven't already, but you absolutely bow out of this game. It is insane that hasn't happened yet. You do not go play because it's your first selection. It's going to be fun. It's going to be special. That's not the game. That's not what you're paid to do. You're about to
play, but I think he should
either that or be like, hey, coach, 5 minutes.
I don't think he should give up a spot. I think he should go and enjoy it, and I don't think he should play. But yeah, I think he should make an appearance in Atlanta.
No,
everything he's been through, the ups and downs of this career. I mean, this is a guy who he wasn't quite sure if he had a home here in Boston because of the turmoil that season with Kyrie Irving at point guard. And he came out, we've seen it, obviously, the last 2 seasons. So I think this is a great opportunity for him to come back from that as a reformed and better player.
He gets a medal.
How many minutes is he going to get anyway?
Jayson Tatum came back from his first All-Star selection looking like a superstar. I think the same thing happened with Jaylen.
He's going to play every Celtic 38 minutes.
So I was just going to say, I'm cool with Jaylen going because he earned it, but I really think that Brad should just text Doc and be like, yo, take it easy on Jaylen Brown because, he's hurt or whatever. So if he plays in the game, I'd like him to play like 10 minutes, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So it's too bad because these guys should be resting. I probably sound like an old man, like don't go to the All-Star game.
I hate
rest
during the game period.
But it is what it is, and they're going. So,
but anyway, that we got 2 more this week, right?
Yep, Clippers on Tuesday, Raptors on Thursday.
And then is that it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Then we need a break.
And they have a week off. And they play next to fall.
We all need a break. You guys, though, we're gonna miss. We'll miss you guys during the break, but we'll still be doing Garden reports and midseason reports and different things like that while the team is on break. So we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're back on Tuesday. And that's going to do it for Jimmy, Bobby, Joe Sway. Celtics win. Good close, good finish. We're happy Jimmy joined us. We didn't know that was going to happen. Bobby Manning has a long night ahead of him. He's at the Garden right now. He's got a lot of work to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the scene, Bob? Anybody in there? Anybody there right now?
Let's see what's going on. I mean, they cleared that court quick after the game winner. Everyone was just gone. There wasn't much celebrating going on, but yeah, everyone's gone now. Ice? Just me and John Corrales up here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's still court. They're not changing. I guess we're the Bruins away. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, I'll say this. The Knicks got fans back last week. They had a big win the other night. Probably, 2,000, 3,000 people. But you could, going from 0 to that, it's a big difference. So in a couple of weeks when they get the fans back here, it's going to be a world of a difference atmosphere-wise.
That's going to be cool. I'm wondering if we're going to have a beefed media presence too.
It's going to be cool, and I wonder how much tickets are going to cost. I feel like tickets would be wicked expensive. For
it's going to be robust.
Event, right?
Yeah, season ticket holders, and then, they're going to have to give it up.
Pay? If you're watching in the chat, like how much would you pay to go to a Celtics game right now with 2,000 fans? I mean, players are going to hear you. Like, you're going to actually have maybe a little bit of an effect on things. Like,
go check StubHub, Jimmy. I'm sure they're up already.
How many fans are saying 12% capacity? It's like 2,000.
Yeah, so like
2,300 is the number I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if more media will be allowed. I haven't been to a game this year, so
they'll give us a studio up here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want it.
See.
We're excited. That'll be fun. It's a fun little dynamic. We'll throw that into there. Bobby will maybe get heckled at games too. That'll be cool.
I can't wait to see Payton Pritchard's face when he realizes how crazy the city is for him. That's the cool part about this, right? People who, even the players last year, right? Grant
They don't
Williams,
know.
They don't know playoff garden, playoff atmosphere. Right. And face it, when this starts, every game's going to be playoff atmosphere just because
they'll also hear every boo.
Yeah, exactly. The chant, the demoralizing chants that Boston's infamous for, the swearing that always makes it on TV.
Yeah, these are season ticket holders. Yeah, they're not coming. They're not coming lately.
The fire rat stuff.
It's going to be a legitimate. Yeah, you might get some of that too. It's going to be a legitimate advantage, I think.
Yeah.
I have a buddy who's a season ticket holder. I'm going to ask him what he's planning on doing with the tickets, because a lot of season ticket holders will sell the tickets, but this is the year to go, right? I mean, hopefully you'll never, get to experience something like this again. So it might be worth checking out a game if you can.
Hey, if they're 2 games under, they'll put everybody in the balcony. If they're 2 games over, they'll all be in the loge. It'll depend.
Yeah. All right, that's it. We're wrapping up. Good night, guys. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.